show you guys a real quick thought experiment on the dangers of fighting on the ground with a knife involved. So where we live, most likely everyone carries some type of utility knife, and that has to be factored in when you think about self-defense or being attacked or being an aggressor yourself. Just to make sure, if you don't have any training in ground or know any ground awareness, be sure to check out your local jiu-jitsu school, judo, sambo, wrestling. Any type of ground awareness is a necessity when you're fighting for self-defense. That does not mean know how to do submissions on the ground or anything like that, but just being able to move your body on the ground and know how to get back up to your feet.
Okay, so I guess some things to kind of keep in mind is that all things are possible when you hit the floor, when you're in that kind of a situation. Especially if you don't know your opponent or you don't know what's going on. So I guess one of the things I would say, like you can surmise from that whole thing, is that you have to be really aware of what's going on with the person's limbs. You know, keeping them tight, close to you. And knowing where their arms and hands are at all times, right? So
you shouldn't try to hunt for submissions when you're on the floor. A submission could be your route to escape or get back out to your feet. But even in a high adrenaline situation, if you break a limb or you break a knee, they're still gonna come at you. And if they have a knife, it's even worse. Right?
Yeah, and if they're drunk or really high, you don't feel a whole heck of a lot. So that's all things those may be situations where you're more likely to encounter something like that. An individual who is in that state of mind, right, or state of being.
So we want to show you guys some drills that we do just to address this scenario. The first drill we're going to do is, Aaron here is the aggressor. He's going to take me down to the floor. So we're not going to worry about the setup aspect. Let's say I got blindsided and now we're both on the floor scrambling. And I see where his knife is. Right now it's in his front right pocket. So first drill, you know where the knife is. You guys are on the floor. Alright, so Aaron takes me down, and first thing I do is I try to face him, right? I don't want to get my back to him. So I try to pull guard a little bit, and I'm here. Try to pull his posture down. He still got back up and started throwing punches. So I covered up and I tried to get the posture again. Luckily enough, I got this here and I got this triangle. So again, my mistake was I didn't use the triangle as a means to get out. I was trying to go for the submission. His arm was free, so he pulled out his knife. Even this whole time trying to work for this triangle, but now he has a knife in his hand. Now we're gonna do the same thing. I'm the attacker now. I have the knife in my back right pocket. I'm gonna take him down and then we'll see what happens.
Alright, so right here, I get taken down and I immediately try to pull Michael in to get my leg wrapped around him, right? And as soon as that happens, like he starts doing this and I want control. I'm trying to get back control and I see his arms, so I want control of his hands because I don't want him punching me in the face, right? What happened where I guess I started losing it is because I became super fixated on his hand and trying to stay here versus doing something and getting out of it, right? If you're stuck here, I mean, you want to escape from being on the ground, right? Like in real life, you want to get the heck out of there. This is all creating a place for you not to go on, not to be able to roll this way or this way, right? But if you can do this thing, kind of get like an underhook and swing out so that you can split. So you can either meet him and split, but that's going to be the goal, right? The goal is not going to be to continue the fight or to win. It's like self-preservation, right? So once you have a moment to like attack the computer and like disengage, you need to get out of there, right? As fast as possible. you know, if there's objects around that you can throw, or you know, to help yourself out, you know, you use whatever you can.
One thing I do want to address was when I stood up, you were quick to get back to your feet too. If you're like open guard here, if you try to play this type of open guard and you create a frame, this is perfect for me to start slicing, to start stabbing downward. But he did a real good job at pushing away, and then he wants to create this type of scenario, not where I'm towering over him. You can do another drill where the weapon location is spontaneous as well, right? So front pocket, back pocket, inside the pants, from the shoes. That's very common places to hold a personal knife. The next drill we're going to do is having this mission locked in, because regardless of having an armbar on or a heel hook or a rear naked choke, blood choke still takes 7 seconds on average to have a person pass out, and that's a very long time to pull out a knife. So we're going to show submissions locked in and see how well that works.
Okay.
So some key takeaways: always be aware of where the hands are. Not just the arm or the shoulder or the limbs or whatever, but have control of the wrist. Because once you see somebody reaching back, most likely they're trying to grab something, right? So that's one. Another thing is be aware of where your vitals are. So the typical lesson in jiu-jitsu is to always keep your legs in between you and your opponent. So that's a very good pointer. So this applies here as well. Another thing is that submissions might not work all the time, right? It takes 5 to 7 seconds to choke someone out. In that time, they can easily pull out a knife, as you saw.
Ideally, you don't want to be in that situation to begin with, right? It's always best to try to reason and use logic to get yourself out of like hairy situations like that. And you know, we're not covering everything. I mean, we're going over stuff that we've kind of come up with and thought about specifically, but this definitely does not cover the breadth of self-defense in this kind of a situation, right? So I mean, there's other things to be aware of and that you need to train as well. This just can help you as a platform to kind of like, you know, use some of these ideas and develop your own thing, right? Because the only person that's going to be there when you're in a situation is yourself, you know. Doesn't matter how good your teacher is if you can't come up with stuff on your own sometimes.